Here we go, folks. We are live for the NBA draft, and Woj is already dropping Woj bombs before we even get started. But what you guys need to do is hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you are watching along with me on YouTube and those other mechanisms right now, I'm also popping into our playback channel. So let's see if I can do that without failing. It appears that I did. So I hope you guys can hear me on playback as well. We are just live here to talk about the draft. If you're watching in playback, you're also watching the ESPN stream. If you're watching on YouTube, you're just watching me right now in my childhood bedroom. So enjoy that, everybody. Thanks to J-Dog behind the scenes for producing. That's going to be a good time. So we just had Woj talking on ESPN and in tweets that it's not outside the realm of possibility that Paolo Banchero is able to go first here. So we've seen these odds bouncing all over the place all day, and it's not any different now. We have no idea who's actually going to be picked first. It seems as though Chet Holmgren is going to go second no matter what, but at this point, I have no idea what's going on. So we are going to learn it all as we move forward. I'm excited for this. I love draft day. I don't really care at all who gets picked where. Most of that stuff, I think, is much ado about nothing. People do a lot of too much hand wringing on a draft day. Teams aren't very good at evaluating talent. The public isn't very good at evaluating talent. We shouldn't be assuming that we know better. And if you look at sort of any, projection metric, the error bars on these picks make it impossible to try to distinguish between, the guys that you want. Seems like a pretty clear top three to me. You can go many different directions. I've been looking at all sorts of data, whether that's mock drafts or some of the more prevalent statistical models. We're splitting hairs here across the top. I don't have much of a preference. If you're asking me if I'm the Orlando Magic, who would I take? The answer is probably Paolo Banchero. If you're asking me who I would just want to take out of the top three, I think that I would want to go for like the biggest home run pick and try to take Chet, because the ceiling of Chet to me becomes the guy that you can't get away from. I just don't know how relevant that actually is. I certainly don't want to try to be the guy that's actually picking between them. I'd be more than okay. I would want to be the Magic and have the choice. I wouldn't exactly be mad to be the Rockets and just get whatever's left, because I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer. There are better fits for some of these guys, but when these guys actualize their skill set in 4 years, 5 years, whatever, most of the people that are on all of their teams won't be there anyway. So there's also that. Greg, you popping on now? I see you lurking in the background. Or am I going to continue on my individual soliloquy?
Sounds like. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was allowed to come in here. I don't know what the producing rules are here. I also went into the playback. There's Jordan. We can't hear you at all.
Yeah.
So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into get playback now, and then start your camera and mic in there as well.
All right.
Josh in chat says, I don't think it's a crapshoot. Jabari, Banchero, and Ivy are can't miss prospects in your opinion. So right out of the gate, it is a crapshoot. You're wrong. And two, there is no one that is more able to be missed than Jaden Ivey in any of the statistical models. He grades out quite poorly, just about everywhere across the board. At 4, to me, he's one of the worst guys that you could take. Doesn't mean that he can't be good, but there are a lot of negative signs for Jaden Ivey. If I pull up, so Jake Fisher of tothemean.com has the NBA draft model, and he also has multiple mock drafts attached to it. There is no bigger gap between the mock and the model consensus. Jaden Ivey is mocked 4th across the board. The consensus model spot is 15th. I see the highest that he gets is 9th to who's RM? Rutgers Milos. Okay, so he's 9th. Kevin Pelton has Jaden Ivey 12th, but just based on any of the data models, there is no bigger risk than taking Jaden Ivey 4th.
Greg, if you would just unmute yourself and play back, you're going to be good to go.
All right.
Also, you're going to need to you hear there's an echo?
What's that?
There's an echo.
Yeah.
In StreamYard, or
you're going to want to mute StreamYard. So if you right click the tab.
Yeah. I've muted playback because the last thing that I want to hear are the dopes on ESPN say anything. I don't need Kendrick Perkins takes on like the 7th pick in the draft. That guy has no idea. If he was saying like, here's my recommended food choices at Taco Bell, he'd get a lot more out of me than Kendrick Perkins basketball thoughts, because I'm quite confident his basketball thoughts are dog shit.
Wait. No. You don't mute your mic. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic on StreamYard. There you go. And then what you want to do is you right click the tab in StreamYard and then just mute the site.
Yes, Perkins has no idea. I've seen him speak on multiple shows constantly, and it is quite clear that he's a dope.
Greg is echoing pretty bad. Wait, echo.
I'm not echoing, correct?
You're not. I hear Greg's echo on
Jesse Fisher's model has Jaden Ivey 52nd, which is wild. Biggest opposite to Jaden Ivey is evidently Walker Kessler. He is mocked 25th across the 3 major mocks, and he is 5th in the consensus data model. So looks like Walker Kessler is the guy who might be slipping the furthest. Whoa, can't even say that. Slipping the furthest in the draft. That is probably going to be or at least lines up to be the best value from a data perspective. So that's pretty interesting. Like Chet, consensus in the model, number 1. In the mocks, 2. Jabari flip-flopped. Banchero is 4 and 3. Really hard to separate those guys. I don't really have much of a difference between them. Most of the data models have Chet first. Only 2 of them have him out of the top 2. Only one of them has him a little bit lower, and that's 8th. To me, I would be leaning towards the data models and going to Chet in that first spot. But, Jabari and Banchero are not too far away here. The guy that actually sneaks into the top 3 is Keegan Murray from the data models, but they are all over the place. So he's mocked 5th and 6th. He's as high as 1st in a data model. He's got some 3rds and 4th, but he's also dropped into 19th and 28th. And I assume that's an age thing, given the fact that he is 21.7 years old. We got a nice crew here on YouTube, 82 people there. We've got 17 people watching on playback. We could definitely get a couple more people into the playback stream, but we'll be all right there. Greg's just taking personal calls on playback. I'm just kidding. I know who he's on the phone with. I can see him talking to J-Dog in the background right now. Tari Eason with the very nice suit. Tari Eason, 9th in the consensus model, 15th in the mocks. Very, very interesting. Paying attention there. The guy that I'm most interested in seeing is anybody that's coming from Duke. So I want to see where Banchero goes, obviously, if he's going 1st or 3rd. I certainly want to see where AJ Griffin is going, who's on the screen right now on ESPN. Mark Williams, fascinating prospect. Again, another big man out there. Lots of Dukies. Greg, did you figure out how to mute a tab?
Potentially. Is there still an echo, or is it working now?
No, you're good.
All right, cool. Now, to be clear, did I figure it out? No. J-Dog called me and walked me through what it was I was supposed to do. Because when he told me to mute it, I wasn't exactly sure what he meant to mute. So I was trying to mute playback. I was trying to mute StreamYard. So apologies. Josh was doing a great job doing this solo. I thought I was doing him a favor by jumping on with him. Great. To be like, oh, cool, we'll get extra guys in. Instead, I fucked the entire thing up. But he did a good job holding the fort down here.
Unmute yourself on playback now. You're muted on playback. Unmute yourself, please. And then we're good to go. Then we're rocking.
Jordan, you're muted. I don't know if Jordan's talking.
You can't hear me?
He is. He's talking to you. He's telling you to unmute yourself in playback. Playback the app, not playback the tab, by the way.
Oh. There we go.
There you
Yeah, sorry, I'd muted myself because of the echo before. There we go.
got it.
Now I've got it
We
figured
got it.
out. Now
Jordan,
we're
feel
rolling.
free to also hop into playback if you want.
Yeah, now that you have me not fucking up the entire thing, you can jump in on playback.
Yeah. If you're going to be live on one, you should be live on the other. So since we left the MLB stream, Woj goes on ESPN and says that it's possible that Banchero is going first. So
Yeah. So, by the way, I would have jumped in sooner, but once I saw the Woj information, I immediately hedged out of my Jabari Smith positions and just locked in a profit for this entire thing. I want no part of betting on this dumb NBA draft anymore. It was something where I felt I had really good line value on Jabari Smith, which I did. I had somebody at plus money and minus 180, minus 115. That was minus 750 on the betting market. But then the report comes out from Woj that they're considering Banchero now. He was plus 200 at the time. I was like, all right, I'm just going to bet him right now and just lock in a profit, be done with this. And then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I can't say I blame you there. It's pretty insane. Let's see. I've got my NBA. Yeah. Paulo Banchero is the front runner to be the number 1 pick per Woj. Fucking nuts, dude. Nuts.
So the current odds now just came down again, but when I opened it up really quick, Banchero was minus 200 on DK. Jabari Smith was plus 150. Now everything's off the board on DK and FanDuel.
I will say this. I like the fit of Banchero on the Magic and Smith on the Rockets more than I like the alternatives. But not by much.
Do you get the sense now, because before we were talking about how the Magic didn't even work out Banchero in the pre-draft process?
Are we going to find out that they did?
That is one possibility. The other thing that I think is a possibility is that they could get the Rockets to give up assets now, where the Magic can now move to the 3rd spot in the draft and still take Jabari Smith, but also get assets if they take Banchero at 1.
I mean, if there's a trade, I can't even wrap my head around why it would happen or what would be happening.
So the reason would just
John Wall to the Magic? Well,
it would just be the Magic know that the Rockets value Banchero over all of the other players. And I don't know how to properly evaluate these players, but I'm just saying this is what they perceive. I'm thinking this is a chess move. The Rockets prefer Banchero. That's been made pretty public knowledge. So the Magic, maybe they have an indication that, hey, they like Banchero. They don't even like Jabari Smith. They don't like Chet because they don't want to play Chet next to Şengün, whatever it may be. And so they think like, hey, we might have a way to get Jabari Smith, but also get maybe like a future 1st-round pick out of it by taking Banchero and flipping him to the Rockets.
I think that makes some sense. Banchero had, per Jesse Fisher's model, has the highest chance of being an all-rookie player this year, which I think makes a ton of sense. He's probably the most ready offensively. If he goes to the Rockets, clearly going to have some shots that he can take. If he goes to the Magic, I think they need exactly what he brings. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and then also, I wonder if there was Rookie of the Year markets up, which I'm kind of curious because, one thing that is by the way, Banchero is now minus 5,000 to be the 1st overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's Woj saying he's the first pick. It's really, is there anything that ESPN can do to save these broadcasts? Because it's obviously a dog shit product that they are like, they're sniping their own stuff at this point.
Which they had told Woj for a certain period of time to
a couple years ago. Yeah, he had to tweet like code words instead of saying so and so are taking. It's like targeting, got their eyes set on all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's like
now he's on the broadcast.
It lasered in on Banchero at the 1st overall, which was a just total farce and total nonsense. Like, hey, you're not allowed to report who's going to be the 2nd overall pick. He's like, all right, I won't say they're going to pick him, but I'll make it known that everybody knows that who they're going to pick in what spot.
Who hammered? No, we're already Again, now this is another reason why I hate Sean V. Who hammered him for saying that Alvarez was going to dong? We talked through it. It was clearly like a reasonable and obvious play.
Yeah, what we said was that everybody's playing Jordan.
Yeah. And now he's just jerking himself off in chat like normal. I don't know what am I allowed to say on this show? Because we're on YouTube, but are we on proper YouTube or are we on like Odds Shopper YouTube so that if we get kicked off, it's okay?
We are on proper YouTube.
Okay, so am I allowed to be myself? Because we're also on playback.
I would say,
should I'll mute myself on YouTube whenever I'm going to say something particularly.
I think that's the route to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. 22 people in playback, 106 in YouTube. This is actually a pretty good thing. I can't believe this works like it does. Shout out to the people at playback, man. What a great mechanism. Like, I would much rather listen to us than listen to Perk's take on whoever the 9th pick is.
What do we think his takes are on the draft?
My guess is that he doesn't know who most of these people are. He's like, if you put Barkley here.
At least Barkley's funny.
I guess. Well, at least Barkley was good at basketball.
Do you dislike Barkley as an analyst?
I don't ever listen to him for anything. I don't ever watch the TNT show. I don't think that it's a good product for the NBA. Are they entertaining? Sure. Should they be like a halftime show? I don't think so. I think it undermines the sport.
That's TV though. They're entertaining. So there's different ways to do different kinds of content, and I think it's fine. It's entertaining. It's for TV. I think if you just because think of how many different iterations of the halftime show ESPN has gone through. They tried out Bill Simmons. They've tried out Jalen Rose, Michelle Beadle. There were so many different things they went to. They never just tried putting on a good, entertaining show. They kind of tried to do both, which I don't think you could do.
Yeah, Josh Chambers. He's going to talk about Modi Moses. I mean, he basically had a stroke during the draft last year and couldn't say Moses Moody. Like, let's not forget that. But I'm with you. Like, the part that I hate the most is when they do when they can't say a person's name or they treat a guy like he's not actually in the NBA because he's not in like some inner circle Hall of Fame. Like, they undermine a lot of future talent by just like treating them like they're garbage. You got to understand. It's no different than like pro wrestling. You got to understand how to promote the right things moving forward, and they just try to promote themselves.
So the other thing too is it's not even they do try to promote themselves in a sense, but there's this weird thing with old basketball heads where they will not let go of the fact that the NBA and basketball was better 40 years ago than it is today.
Yeah,
that's something that they will not let go of. And part of it is because that's when they played. And I guess here's why I like Allen Iverson. Iverson loves the new generation and he's willing to give props to all of the up and coming players, but that's not what the current guys who are on TV are willing to do. I agree from that standpoint. It's not the best look.
Yeah. You got grow the game. Your job is to be one of the most watched people. Whether or not your takes are any good, grow the game, promote people. Don't just, talk to them like they're garbage. I cannot believe.
Are you kidding me? We still even here we get the sex bot coming in.
Nice. Cheap sex streamer recommends. I mean, host recommends it as well, guys.
Yeah.
It's been expensive in my past.
Yeah, the one that we got popping into the YouTube chat during the baseball show, no whores. I don't know. That seems like a weak selling point. They don't know what we're here for.
I just don't know why you would want to preclude yourself from whores. It just doesn't make any sense. All right, guys, it's 8:05. Adam Silver's out here powering through COVID. I'm over here not listening to a word that's coming out of his mouth because I don't care. Is that Adam Silver? I thought it was. Is that? Oh, I thought it was Jada.
That is absolutely Adam Silver.
My bad. So similar looking.
Is he announcing the first pick or that a team is on the clock?
No, he's reading off the cast for G.I. Jane 2.
So outside of Will Smith's wife, who else is in it?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other bald people. Jane Lynch. She G.I. Jane 2.
Britney Spears when she went crazy.
Oh, bring Britney Spears in for anything she wants to do. I'm Team Brit. Like, I bet she... Oh, my God. She's got to be awful now.
Just used?
Yeah, I mean, it just... Yikes. You'd take it for a spin, but, like, you probably assume that car is going to break down in the middle of the ride.
But Nathan Joyce in chat. Does Adam Silver legit have COVID? Well, what would be his motivation for faking having COVID?
Yeah. Sexbot's back again.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fuck ad? Sex cheaper Tinder? Fuck AD maybe? Anthony Davis?
That might be what it is. Yeah, as a New Orleans Pelicans fan masquerading as a sex bot. Could be, at least. Could be.
Do we have a question from Vince, by the way? I see he left a super chat.
I didn't see one. Thank you, though, Vince.
Eric, you good? Can you hear us?
What up, fellas?
What up, buddy?
Yo, I just wanted to join for the good stuff. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So what you're probably hearing an echo in your ear. Is that right?
No, not at all.
Okay, perfect. Are you? Okay, cool.
Am I
Eric's
supposed to hear an echo?
infinitely sharper than me when it comes to getting into this.
Yeah. You're just not wearing headphones, I think, is the thing.
It's all right. How do you? Let's not act like the porn bot showing up when I get here is a surprise. Like
They've been here.
Oh, they have shit. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
No, you're the reason they're about to stop posting.
Yeah.
Thanks. Scare them away. It's good.
Yeah, the porn bot immediately went soft.
What in God's green earth is going on with your Banchero future, Greg? What is going on?
I mean, I'm basically hedged out of it at this point. I bet Banchero, when Woj tweeted before that Banchero was in the mix, I just bet him at plus 200. I have both sides of it. I have a profit no matter who goes first. And it seems, I mean, it's going to be Banchero now. It seems like he's minus 5,000. He's minus like 50,000.
Yeah. I mean, Woj tweeted that it's Banchero, so.
Well, so we have had today, the first time Woj tweeted that it was going to be Jabari Smith, he became a minus 10,000 favorite. And then he tweeted it was going to be Banchero and moved to a minus 5,000 favorite. So that is a massive amount of difference that we've seen via Woj in one day.
My question for Josh Engleman. You have the number 1 pick in this draft with an expansion team. No other features. Who are you taking?
Chet.
That's who I'm taking too.
Yeah.
I love Chet so much.
Yeah, I'm taking Chet and just crossing my fingers.
I just feel like I see the upside of Smith and Banchero. Like I see it. But like the ceiling of Holmgren is Porzingis on crack.
I would want to do Chet first. Jabari's the easiest guy to build around.
Mm-hmm.
And then Banchero is the guy, if you're just like, I think that I could run my entire offense through him as basically a hub. I'm not mad about any one of the three. Like, based on everything that I've read through, based on every statistical model, like the averages there, these guys are not separated by enough that anybody can have any real confidence.
It's just such an interesting, like, I can't remember. It would have to be pretty much the Trae Young Lucas situation, Marvin Bagley, those three, where I thought there were like franchise altering players in the top 3. Like these are
you didn't even name the number 1 pick that year.
Oh, DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, in my brain, just thinking through the top 3, top 4 there. I mean, it's just like
it feels like the Anthony Bennett draft, but like with guys at the top that we like. Because that was a draft where like nobody really knew what to do there. You know, Oladipo was in the mix. Bennett. I can't even remember who else was in that draft at this point in time. But that's where it's like there was no real consensus.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
What?
The pick's coming in.
Oh, it was already. See, here's the thing.
Well, hold on. Don't ruin this.
What do you mean? Don't ruin it, man. Have you ever been on Twitter before?
Oh, there we go.
Oh my God.
I mean, we've already known the pick.
I know, but I wanted to see it come through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the fun of it. I have notifications turned off, so I don't get any.
Let's have this conversation right now. Let's say that the Orlando Magic are like decent. They're closing 5. Let's say they're healthy. They're closing 5. How do you get the following guys on the floor? Franz Wagner, Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac. I just named 4 guys, none of which can play the 2. Which one of those guys is not in the Orlando Magic closing lineup? Is that Wendell Carter Jr.? Do they go to Wagner, Banchero, Isaac?
Well, we're assuming that they don't make any more trade. Like, I'm not even convinced that Banchero is still on the team by the end of the night.
Fair.
That would be so fun.
Fair.
Jalen Suggs.
No, Josh. No Mo Bamba.
Yeah, that's not
Willie K. Also still no Mo Bamba.
I mean, I think there's a pretty good chance Bamba isn't on the team also soon.
I would agree.
Thunder are taking Jabari. I fucking love the draft today. It's so stupid.
Oh my God.
So now the Rockets are going to have to potentially pair Chet with Şengün.
I mean, let's go ahead and have this conversation right now. We don't need to treat Şengün like he's something that he's not. You play Chet Holmgren over Alperen Şengün.
No kidding.
And it's not close.
It's not remotely close. Defensively, it's a joke how different those two are.
Yeah, one of them can do it and the other one can't.
One of them could be like franchise altering defensively, and the other one can't do a lick of it.
Chet. Oh, now Woj is saying Chet remains the front runner for OKC. Chris Haynes said Jabari Smith to OKC.
Wait,
and by the way, former player former Mike Miller is the rep of Banchero.
Mike Miller is?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like kind of friends with him. I ran his basketball camp in South Dakota.
That's
Mitchell, South Dakota.
666. Şengün's ceiling is not higher than Chet Holmgren's. That's one of the worst takes I've ever seen. If Şengün's ceiling was that high, he wouldn't have been drafted where he was. It was a year ago.
Look, I love Şengün. Like, obviously, Ryan put me on him before the season even started. Yeah. Just snag him everywhere. But because you're a fantasy asset does not mean that you're an NBA asset. Stop that. Just stop.
I mean, like, I think he's an NBA asset, and I think he's really talented offensively. But, like, we're talking about 2 very different players here.
Just saying, like, an elite franchise-altering player and a fantasy-altering player. Yeah. They're 2 different things.
I think he is upside. He could do everything a little bit. I know he didn't finish well at the rim last year, and it's been a minute since I've looked at, like Şengün's numbers. But off the top of my head, he didn't shoot particularly well at the rim last year. He didn't shoot well anywhere else. He shot like 70% from the line and 25% from 3. But at the same time, too, he did a decent job defending the rim. He clearly has passing ability. So I disagree that he doesn't have upside. His potential to hit that ceiling might not be incredibly high, but I think he has a ceiling.
I have a hard time seeing him ever being like a top 10 center. Is that maybe too aggressive? I don't know.
I mean, he's just a guy that when I think about what he's enjoyable to watch on the offensive end, but like you can't play through him on a winning basketball team.
I don't think so. No.
Like, how do you play through Şengün and feel confident? Unless you just had, like, I don't know, Jabari Smith on the wing. You know what I mean? Like, that would be somewhat helpful, but I don't know. He's never going to get to play.
Chet to OKC.
Okay, thank God. I've just been thinking about him and Pokashevsky together, and it's just too fun to think about next year. Like, I just want to see them on a basketball floor at the same time. It's going to look ridiculous.
I love this pick for OKC. Obviously, take the swing, and I think this makes more sense for Jabari Smith. I think he fits in really well alongside Şengün. The floor spacing should help. And boy, oh boy, does that floor spacing help someone like Jalen Green here. If they can get the ball out of, just get rid of Kevin Porter Jr. And I really like the core for the Rockets.
Same. Kevin Porter Jr. bothers me in every sense of the word.
What did Smith's shooting numbers look like in college?
I think he shot 41% from three or something like that. On like the third longest average attempts or something.
Yeah, he could shoot 42% from three, 80% from the line. So
yeah.
6'10", he's going to be able to get it off. Like there's no issue getting shots up. He's going to have plenty of them. That is the nice thing about Şengün, though. Like I legitimately think he's a really good passer.
You don't think Jalen Green is going to take away from take away shots from all those guys? Like,
yeah.
They need like a real facilitator on that team, don't they?
No.
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 Not on the Rockets?
No. I think the Jabari Smith fit. Look, their problem is defense. Because Jabari will help. Nate, Jabari has a very, very terrible 2-point percentage stuff in college and can't dribble, but that didn't really slow the Celtics down from getting to the finals.
What about finishing at the rim? Do you have those numbers handy?
I don't.
All right. If he can't make mid-range shots, but he could finish at the rim, he could shoot threes. There's an easy solution there. Don't take mid-range shots.
Man, I'm really curious to see if the Thunder do anything else. I love that Chet SGA core, though.
SG is just maybe my favorite player on a bad team right now.
He's so damn good.
Yeah, that year with the Clippers, that year with Chris Paul and Schroeder, it was just he was by far the most dynamic player out of everybody on both of those teams, which is ridiculous to say out loud. Like
if Shea plays 1,800 minutes this year, which is where I have his weighted average, I have him worth 5.5 wins this season, which is not so bad for a shit team like the Thunder. They've got like 27 first-round picks in the next 6 years.
Sure do.
I really need people to start pumping the brakes on Giddey because that is not someone that I am fond of.
You are talking to the wrong guy in Greg Ehrenberg over there on Josh Giddey. That is his absolute boy.
I played him a lot in DFS this year.
Yeah,
that is a different discussion point.
Yeah,
I don't see a gigantically interesting future for Josh Giddey.
Wasn't he 19 though last year? I feel like he was like one of the youngest guys in the league.
I believe he is young.
He was 18 last year.
Yeah. I mean, he was.
Oh no, he was.
He'll be 20 in October.
Okay. Yeah, he was. So he turned 18. He turned 19 right at the start of the season.
The thing that's underrated though is that somebody like Giddey can turn into, if you're trying to win basketball games, which they're probably still 2-3 years removed from, Giddey is an automatic piece that you can turn into like contender pieces. Because he'll lure somebody in.
I just don't know what he becomes in the future.
I just feel like there's enough teams that'll be willing to try to make him something if you really want to, like, because SGA and Chet, like that's what you're doing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. If Giddey can't become better offensively, it's a real problem. Because he is pretty dreadful outside of being able to pass the ball quite well.
Yeah, I mean, also, I don't get too concerned about somebody when they're 18, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You should.
Josh, what were you doing when you were 18, 19?
Just being better than most people at 18 and 19, I guess, probably.
Starting to ferment your cherries to eat on streams in 15 years?
Yeah, it's probably when I got them. Shit.
What?
I ate a moonshine cherry. Hold on. I ate a moonshine cherry that have been in my the sell by date was 2010, and so I probably got them a couple years before that. They've certainly been sitting there for 13 years because that's how long I've lived in North Carolina, and they were here before that.
You're not hiving out or anything?
Not so far, so good.
Good. You're alive. That's a plus.
Any buzz from it at all, or no?
No, I'm a pro.
That's disappointing.
You want to take shots, Josh?
No, certainly don't. Certainly don't.
I really don't.
You could talk me into getting a beer downstairs, but not much else interesting. Yeah, Jabari to Houston. Love the fit. Love the fit. Love the fit. Love the fit. Great baseline for Houston. They're primed to make some moves sooner than later. That's a good core. It's a really good core. And they have everything of the Nets moving forward. And the Nets are not exactly primed to be good for the next 5 years.
I mean, they're just going to end up re-signing Kyrie to a max contract, right? And then they keep Durant.
I would be shocked if they maxed Kyrie.
Here's the issue, though. If they don't, somebody else will.
Who?
I mean, it's going to take a lot.
Do you think he's going to take the bag from the Pistons?
No, I think there'll be some sort of sign and trade that will end up happening. If the Nets aren't willing to pay them the money, another team will find a way to make it happen. Well,
if I'm the Nets, then I'll happily do the sign and trade. But what does that deal look like? Where's he going? Name the team. Who wants him?
I couldn't tell you right now. I'd have to look at a bunch of different teams. And also, he made a list of teams that he'd want to go to.
Yeah, it was.
I hate the Lakers, but LeBron, obviously, if there's something there, I don't know. Clippers would be the most exciting, but I don't know how in God's green earth they make that work money-wise. There's not a chance in hell. Heat was on his list. What are you going to do with Kyle Lowry if you're the Heat?
Lowry's got to go out in that deal.
Lowry would be in the trade.
Good luck. You better be getting a lot back if you're Brooklyn in that spot then.
Jimmy Butler would probably beat the fucking shit out of him.
But also that's the issue is
I would like to see a murder.
I don't know if you saw this. Jimmy Butler did an interview like 4 months ago. He was asked who his favorite players were in the NBA. He said his number one favorite player, if he could play with anybody in the NBA, he said it would be Kyrie Irving.
I believe it. When Kyrie Irving's on the floor, it's really fantastic to watch. He's an incredibly talented offensive player. I think Jimmy Butler might be a little bit mad when Kyrie takes 3 weeks off to go figure out if the Earth's flat.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Butler's not playing every day either. He just cares about the playoffs.
You kind of.
Yeah, he at least has the initiative too. That's a plus.
They also said the Sixers. I mean, good luck with that one.
Harden for Kyrie.
The Mavs is basically
Harden
impossible.
Round 2, just flip flop one more time, just for the hell of it.
I think the Knicks make a bunch of sense.
So do the Mavericks could as well because they could sign Jalen Brunson and include that in a sign and trade.
I guess.
Can you do it? You can do a sign and trade for a sign and trade, right? I don't know if I've seen that before.
I'm almost positive you can, but Brunson's number is going to be well lower than Kyrie's. So it starts to get a little bit confusing. You end up hard capping both teams. So there are some issues with Brooklyn and the tax line. So could be a little confusing. I haven't dug into it all that much yet. I'll start looking into contracts and stuff once the draft is over. But in theory, that could happen.
That's Demonat. Anyone know if Kawhi is going to ever play basketball again? Yeah, next year, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's going to be. Kings are taking fun. Keegan Murray, so all the Jaden Ivey suck fest at 4 can suck this.
Yeah, as an Iowa State fan, I can tell you, Keegan Murray needed to be the pick. Like,
I feel so bad for him because I'm a really big I like Murray coming out of this draft. I think he is the 4th guy that should have been taken. I think his fit on the Kings is fantastic. They need a guy in that role much more than they needed Jaden Ivey, but I would never want to go to the Kings because that's like NBA AIDS.
Is Harrison Barnes still under contract next year?
He's eligible for an extension right now.
Good luck with that.
I mean, every single contender should want him.
But I'm saying the Kings shouldn't want him, is what I'm getting.
They should have traded him for the past 2 years.
Just purgatory.
I'm also anti Keegan Murray just because of his game in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
That was bad. I don't know. There were a lot of first game or second game. They won their first round, didn't they?
No, they lost the first round.
They lost the first round. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we were texting during that game.
That's
right.
You
want Jesse Fisher's top statistical comp for Paolo Banchero?
Is it going to be somebody good or bad?
It's someone in the NBA that makes a lot of money.
Ooh, okay.
6'10".
I just woged that answer.
Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What a great hit. Nice, Greg.
All right. So here's how I came to that conclusion. Tell me about when I asked if it was somebody good, you said it was somebody who made a lot of money, which kind of indicated it's somebody who's not good, or at least somebody who's overpaid. And then I just gravitated towards Tobias Harris. Made sense.
Woj is still doing that bullshit. The Kings are focused on Keegan Murray.
Yeah, well,
they have no trade and they plan to keep him too. So here are the top statistical comps for Banchero. Tobias Harris is first. Quincy Miller of Baylor in 2012 is second. Luol Deng third. I like that comp quite a bit. Obviously, the Duke connection. Henry Ellenson, which is a very weird comp considering, but makes more sense if you just don't picture Ellenson like a center. He ended up going to the Pistons and not being any good. Keldon Johnson, Kevin Knox, Kirk Snyder, Mamukelashvili, Trey Tompkins, and Jonathan Kuminga.
How ridiculous are the pieces for Golden State? Like, it's pretty unfair that they win a title. Jordan Poole's 22 years old. You have Jonathan Kuminga. You're getting back Wiseman, who is a massive question mark. I have no idea what he's got, but even if it's 18, 20 a game, you're going to have to fill in Looney. Looney's going to get paid. So goodbye, Looney. I mean, that's just a ridiculous amount of young talent that they have. What's the other kid that they have that's just pretty decent? Moody's pretty decent.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the Warriors right now. I don't see anything amazing out of Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, and I don't know what that bridge looks like. I feel like they're a team with two identities, which is a great place to be as the defending champs. Like, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, they just won a championship. Everything is generally fine for them. The only concern would be how much older do Clay, Draymond, and Curry look next year, because none of them are young.
It's tricky for them now because they're in a position where they should probably trade one of Clay or Draymond, and I just don't think they can.
They won't. Yeah.
Like, you need Clay or Draymond. Like, you need Draymond to be like, yeah, when my contract's up, I'd like to play one final year for the Pistons or something.
0% chance. All right, Detroit.
He's a Michigan guy, but you know what the crazy thing is? Like, we watched Draymond be exceptional, and then for like the past year and a half when they were all hurt and stuff, he basically like didn't give a shit. He's 32. Like, he's got time ahead of him, but he feels like he's like semi-washed in a weird way.
Well, because he played so poorly in some individual finals games. Now, with that, his best playoff game of the entire playoffs, I thought was the final game of the season. He played really well in that game, but there were some games where he really, really sucked.
Well, Jaden Ivey going to the Pistons.
I hate that. And I think I like Jaden Ivey more than you do, just from hearing you on the front end of it. Like, I think in the Big Ten last year, he had some solid, looked like a first round pick, a top 5 pick. I'm not too sure about, but Cade Cunningham, you're trying to make Marvin Bagley a thing, which is not a thing. Sadiq Bey showed some upside, but he's kind of you just want to stockpile wings in the NBA now. That's kind of what you're looking to do. Jeremy Grant, at least you cut bait with the contract, but like, you've never really had a point guard. You still don't have a point guard. Cade Cunningham is not your prototypical guy you want running the point, right?
No, I want the ball in Cade Cunningham's hands a lot. Now, that's not to say that I don't want the skill set that Ivy brings. He's as fast as it gets on the floor, like pushing in transition. You always need a secondary ball handler. Like, I like the logistical fit of the two of them. Like, I have no problem there. It's just I'm paying heavy attention to the models that really just did not like Jaden Ivey and have him significantly lower than the 5th spot here. Now, again, that doesn't preclude him from being good. There's like, reach doesn't matter at all here, but I'm nervous that he's not the guy that like the models have, or the mocks and big boards and stuff I've seen in comparison to the stats, but we shall see. I like the fit. They need that kind of guy. They need some dynamism. Pour one out for Killian Hayes, I guess.
Oh yeah, he gone.
One thing that's kind of concerning looking at Ivy's numbers, at least as somebody who's going to be playing alongside Cade, because you want the ball in Cade's hand as much as possible. I'd like somebody who's a better shooter that's going to be next to them. Ivy's shooting numbers are not great in college. 74% from the line, 35.8% from 3. Those are numbers that obviously would expect to go down when he's in the, at least the 3-point shooting. Free throws would be about the same. But if he's going to be like a 33, 32% 3-point shooter, that's not ideal next to somebody you just always want to have the ball in his hands in Cade.
Yeah. As somebody who watched a lot of Big Ten basketball, though, they have Zach Edey, who's maybe the biggest like waste of space in the history of basketball. Like he's a 7. How tall is he? Zach Edey is.
While you look that up, Pornbot came back with "Stop jerking, cheaper than Tinder."
That's fantastic.
I've seen that. I've seen that one before. I always feel like it's speaking to my soul.
Zach Edey's 7'2", but he looks like he's 7'5", and he's the most immobile guy on planet Earth. And they would always feed him in the post, and then there were never wide open looks you're kicking out from Edey. It was just some of the weirdest basketball times that Purdue would play. So, like, I think in the NBA, I think he'll be a better shooter than that going forward, but time will tell. God, I hated that team.
All right. Let's see. Oh, my God. Is there a way to do this? Yeah, put user in timeout. Sean V, shut up about Alvarez. No one cares. I didn't care during the show. I don't care now in an NBA draft show. Shut up. Good God. Is that an update for 6? Nope, just more Jaden Ivey at 5. I don't even know where the actual draft is. Like, is Jaden Ivey? I guess Jaden Ivey hasn't been. Oh, the pick is in. Okay, so he hasn't even actually been picked, and we've already taken our lap through Jaden Ivey to the Pistons.
Yeah, so now I wonder, are there, I assume books can't do this by putting up live betting markets.
I mean, they can. I doubt they do.
I mean, they can't do it, and
doesn't seem like it would go well for them.
Yeah,
Jaden Ivey's just so depressed that he has to go live in Detroit.
Yeah, it's not fun.
He's just crying like, fuck, I thought I was going to Sacramento, so close to San Francisco.
Yeah, well, the only thing that's up right now.
He's a wine connoisseur.
Yeah. He already had his place picked out in Napa, and now he's an 8 Mile. He's going to be going to Mom's Spaghetti every Wednesday.
Buca de Pepe. Let's go. Oh, shit. Go ahead,
by the way, Eric, because you are not known with this information, Sean V's contrarian play of the day was Jordan Alvarez.
I mean,
not he didn't actually say contrarian. He was just
I did my prize picks video today, and I said, quote, Jordan Alvarez feels like a guy who's just going to hit lots of dongs going forward or something stupid like that. Listed off a bunch of stats. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to go all in on Jordan Alvarez. I believe he's also like 45% owned, is he not?
Yeah, he's very, very popular. There was his
Matherin to the Pacers
anymore. He said play Jordan. Everybody agreed with him. Everybody's like, we're all playing Jordan. And then he's like the only person who figured out Jordan.
Congrats, Sean V, on Captain Obvious Award of the day. This is the one guy I have no idea what to think about in this entire draft. Matherin, a lot of Pac-12 games out here Arizona. There were times he didn't even look remotely competent, and then you get to the NCAA tournament and he looked like a god.
You ready for this? In the 3 aggregated mocks, Matherin came in with a consensus of 6th. In the 2, 4, 6, 8 aggregated statistical models, Matherin came in with a consensus of 6th. So he was 6th on this list, and he is going to be picked 6th by the Pacers. I think they hit the mark on this one, I guess. I'm not one for like thinking that I could outsmart it. So I just sort of want to try to get the best value of who can I get as highly ranked as possible, no matter who they are, in relationship to like the consensus information. And if I can't get like either trade down and do the same thing or stay where you're at, if you hit the mark at 6, I can't say who's going to be good or bad in the NBA any longer.
Yeah. I'm just saying I have no idea what to make of him whatsoever.
I don't know anything about him.
Duarte and I mean, everybody's going to look good next to Halliburton for me. I could not love a basketball player more than I love Tyrese Halliburton.
Josh Engleman on a show entirely about hope and potential is just vibe killing. It's why we tune in. Well, no, like I like talking about. I don't want to like. I don't believe in thinking that I can just pick these guys. I mean, like there are people that get paid millions of dollars a year to do this shit and fail at it constantly. It's not. There's only so accurate that you can get at projecting out athletes that are 18, 19 years old. I love the idea of talking about the hope and potential or whatever of these guys now that they're on a team and the way that they fit with like the rest of the guys that are there. But if we're just picking guys and like saying, how do you think they're going to do? You're going to come out. It's going to be like picking baseball players. It's like, it's not going to feel like you're all that confident. Mike Trout's going to go 0 for 5 from time to time.
My takeaway from that is that you would like to be paid millions of dollars.
Shit, yeah, I would.
Josh is not paid enough. That's the takeaway.
I think you'd be better at it than a lot of people who are probably paid to do it.
I wouldn't invest the money in it. I think I've said this before, and like I actually just read about it recently. I think it was the PFF guys talking basically like, is there a case to be made? I mean, the Suns are like a shoe in the draft too. Is there a case to be made that like you don't even need a scouting staff for draft work, and you aggregate every public model and just say like, this is my big board and we're just going to go from here?
So I don't think that would be a bad baseline. Here's the issue though, is teams are going to be able to get information the public just doesn't know when it comes to health issues, because you still need to do the health. You still need to do the health scans on stuff. You need to interview the guys also, not find out like, oh, look, this guy showed up drunk to his team interview and doesn't seem to give a shit. But the big thing would really be any kind of medical red flags, because take the biggest one in recent years would be Michael Porter Jr., who was considered a potential number 1 overall pick. And then a lot of team doctors literally said, this guy's undraftable because his back is so fucked up. And then he ends up falling in the draft for that reason. He ends up staying, he wasn't healthy right away, but he ended up staying healthy a few years in a row. And then what happens as soon as he signs that max contract, the back gives out again. So we'll see what happens with Michael Porter Jr. going forward, but that would be the main reason that you couldn't just do that.
Yeah. So like, I would want to integrate that, you integrate that, whatever health metrics you start getting in, whatever that information is, you integrate that into any sort of aggregate models, as well as like another data point. I think you could probably get I certainly don't think you would become instantly the worst team at doing this stuff if you punted that to if you punted the money that you spend in like college scouting for that. By the way, I've got player comps from Jesse Fisher for Keegan Murray. He said, not sure I'm excited about this one at 4. The number 1 the number 1 player comp for Keegan Murray coming out of college. Buckle up, gents. We've mentioned this person on stream today.
Harrison Barnes.
No, it's not Harrison Barnes. That would be a very good one. Now, there are a couple other good names here, but the first one, the number 1 comp, and it's close to number 2.
Can you give us clues to guess?
DeAndre Hunter.
No. What would be a good clue? He was very highly drafted higher than Keegan Murray.
Anthony Bennett.
Correct.
All right. I'm good at this game.
Jesus, Craig. What are we doing?
Anthony Bennett won.
It can only be so many guys instead of somebody we talked about already on the show.
Luka Garza, Marcus Morris, Philippe Petrusev, which is hilarious. I don't think he ever came over.
I don't know who
Justin
that is.
Harper, TJ Leaf, Jalen Smith, jury's still out. Bobby Portis, Devin Vassell, Josh Childress. But a lot of these scores are pretty low. You don't get a lot of guys having the career arc that Keegan Murray had.
Interesting. I
But
really don't see anybody like that in Keegan Murray, which is weird.
I don't know what to make of him because he's such a like weird athlete and had like went from not any good anywhere to incredible. It's a tricky one. I'd like to bet on the threes, I guess.
If you're going to bet on the threes in this draft, just draft AJ Griffin. AJ Griffin. God.
So Adam, friend of the program, Adam Scher, tweeted they didn't take Ivy before. And I said it was the first smart decision that the Kings had made in ages. Siege said he is saving that tweet, and now Adam is forced to choose between me and Siege in a contest of like,
yeah. You're gonna win that one, by the way.
Yeah, honestly, you win already. The player who didn't go to Sacramento. That's important.
That's hilarious. All right, what else we got here?
Westport, I have no idea what you're saying right now. I'm not going to read all that. I don't have time for that.
I have okay, I don't care about my mentions any longer. No new tweets since Woj tweeted about Mathurin going to the Pacers. I don't know enough about him to talk about that fit.
It's interesting because he reminds me a lot of he's like a skinnier Duarte in a lot of ways, like both Pac-12, both. I mean, Arizona was so much better than every other team in the Pac-12 that it kind of distorts my view just because I see so many of those games and Arizona was just blowing everybody out towards the end of that season. I thought they were a pretty weak one just because of the conference. Felt like they had some decent pieces around him that maybe elevated play. There were just so many times that he looked uninterested, and that's such like a anecdotal thing to say, but like coming to the NCAA tournament, I can tell you one thing. He looked so much better in the tournament than he did in the last month of the season in the Pac-12.
So is he like a high floor, low ceiling guy? Because that's what I'm seeing in the draft model. Really high chance of being an all rookie guy, which makes me think that he's like sort of more ready. I like that Duarte comp then too. Very low chance of ever ending up as like an all NBA type guy.
Yeah, he reminds me of Duarte. He reminds me. I mean, that's kind of the main comp, not just because they both played in the Pac-12, but like he doesn't wow you with anything that he does, and then he'll elevate and go nuts. What happened?
I don't know if they're keeping this pick or not. I have to assume that this is a trade. The Portland Trailblazers are taking Shaedon Sharpe with the number 7 selection.
I thought you were going to say Johnny Davis, and I was going to lose my mind.
It feels like that's got to be a trade, right?
Yeah. You can't. Where do you put him with Anthony Simons? Where do you put him with Lillard? Unless you plan to move one of them in the offseason, you're trading.
I mean, Simons is a RFA, so they got to pay him. But Sharpe is not ready for the NBA right now. Not even close. Dame cannot be okay with that pick.
No.
Especially if they're trading for Jeremy Grant and like, is Shaedon Sharpe about to go to Toronto for OG Anunoby right now?
That would be awesome. I mean, they were looking at moving the pick. So obviously you draft him for Toronto and you ship him. There you go. That makes a lot of sense.
That feels like what's happening.
What did Sharpe just not play last year? Because he didn't play at Kentucky, correct?
He did play at Kentucky. He basically didn't play at Kentucky, though.
Yeah.
How did he play but not play?
You just didn't play very much.
Yeah.
Did he play at all?
Not really, no.
You know who would know something like Mac Jesse's copping on here in a second. So.
Oh, that'll be incredible.
We all have the answers here. Actually, oh my God, where is it?
I Googled Shaedon Sharpe, and the first thing that came up is Shaedon Sharpe related to Shannon Sharpe?
He didn't play at all in 21-22 last year.
Westport, what are you even saying, dude? I literally had 0 to drink. I had lots to drink last time I was on this app. I can tell you that much. Last time I was on this good old website. But
Is there an audio issue?
No, it's fine. Every once in a while, it gets a little wonky. It might have been mine. My wife called me, and my phone half took the call.
Lobby's
What do we got
in
going on here?
playback right now, smoking a heater.
I can't hear Jordan.
Unmute yourself.
There's the
dummy.
audio issue.
oh, it's great.
Where is he right now?
Outer space.
Let's go, bro. What you
Just
doing?
dude, bro, chill.
Dude, bro, chill. Like,
You're muted.
you gotta
dummy.
unmute it. Turn it up.
Oh, I have you muted.
Oh my god.
What's good, Laffy?
J-Dog?
Oh.
What are you doing over there, Laffy? What are you doing? Outback. That sounds Pennsylvania.
You know what's great? Shaden Sharp, they literally have an entire segment planned for him because they have no highlights to show from his entire college career.
We
Yeah,
didn't
you better
play in
get a
college.
field,
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh.
great.
All right, I got to mute Laffy again. He's
Oh,
screwing
no.
this all up.
With his outdoor
take it
setup.
over.
Matt
To
Gajeski.
Makajeski.
What's up?
I'm guessing you don't really have any Shaden Sharp thoughts?
The guy who never played
Yeah.
seems like a complete wild card. He's a really high recruit.
Dyson Daniels to the Pelicans at 8.
It's weird.
So what? I'm curious, Josh. What do projection models say about Shaden Sharp when there's no data on him?
They're getting like the EYBL stuff or whatever. It's everybody's basically just all over the board. There's no. Let me pull them up quickly. A lot of people didn't rate him. Let me pull up Jesse Fisher's list again so I can see who actually did, because he's got the consensus list. So Shaden Sharp was only ranked by 3 statistical models. Kevin Pelton had him 10th because he's got like Canadian Canadian basketball data. So he had him 10th. Jesse Fisher himself had him 57th. And then who's DS? Data Strictly on Twitter had him 23rd. I don't get the pick. If I'm Portland, I'm shipping him out. It makes no sense to me. Matt, what do you think so far? Anything stand out to you? You watch college basketball a lot.
Yeah, I was watching your stream earlier. I heard all the ripping on the Ivy pick was what stood out.
Can you guys
most
not
to
hear
me.
him?
I can hear him.
Huh.
Yeah, I can hear him. Do you have StreamYard muted?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah. Unmute StreamYard, and my recommendation would be to mute playback. Laffy's just going to exist in a void because he insists on not coming to the actual place that we're supposed to go.
So beautiful.
Yeah, are you an Ivy guy?
I don't know. I understand the criticism. I just think he played for like a bottom 5 head coach in college basketball. So
Yes.
it seems like he's a player that has just a lot of untapped potential because his coach was so bad and couldn't figure out how to use any of his good players. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about Trevion Williams a little later if I'm still on this stream, but he's another player in this draft who's just like got a ton of hype in the like pre-draft process after he was wildly underutilized with Purdue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Josh,
I got an
wanna
update on Ivy. Per Mark Stein and Jake Fisher, the Knicks are still in pursuit of acquiring Jaden Ivey. And there are hopes that this is going to be based on Jalen Duran being available at 11.
Wow.
So we'll see if anything changes up there. What were you saying, Matt?
What
was
are
that
the
Greg?
main variables that go into the models you're talking about? I'm assuming age, production, stuff from the combine, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about it.
Everything that you're saying, exactly. Any statistical work that you can get across college, if you were playing in, overtime elite or, any of the other leagues, any international ball or under 19s, under 21 type stuff, measurements, your classic weight, height, wingspan type stuff, other comps, you make a statistical comp, you comp out other players, that turns into, a baseline for regression. Anything you can throw at it, basically. I was looking over 8 to 9 different models, so there's no telling what some of these people are putting into their into their models. Like I think Kevin Pelton's is probably more stats. There's probably other people that are working in a lot more like measurable data at this point.
It seems pretty consistent that he was low.
Yeah,
So
across the board, ultra. He had the biggest gap between his model data and his mock draft data.
I feel like it can't just be his production then.
It's got to be. I think it's got to be a little bit of everything. That's why it's like it was such a red flag to me that it seemed like across the board it was like there was obviously a line in the sand somewhere.
Because you can kind of rationalize away the production if you want to, just with that program being a disaster, but that doesn't explain all the variables.
Sure.
I don't know.
Right.
I liked what you guys were saying about him in that offense and that it was kind of a weird situational fit. And I guess we'll see now if he ends up staying there. But it didn't make a lot of sense to me either as far as landing spot.
All right. I've got Mathurin comps. Are we ready? These comps are from a grade perspective. So they go like 0 to 100. These are significantly higher than they were on whoever the hell we talked about before this when it was Anthony Bennett.
The one we did before was
Keegan Murray. The Tobias Harris.
It was Keegan Murray. No. We did somebody after Keegan Murray.
Whoever was the Anthony Bennett comp.
That wasn't Mathurin?
Mm-mm. I don't remember. It's not important right now. So Mathurin's comps from a grade perspective, significantly higher than everything that we were looking at before. Number one guy is in the NBA, rotational player, excellent three-point shooter. It's not Chris Duarte.
I was going to say, because that's the guy I keep throwing out as the comp, but it's West Coast
bias. I think we need a little bit more. There's a lot of good three-point shooters in the NBA.
Okay. Came off the bench for most of this year. Young-ish.
Tyler Hero?
No.
Much higher.
The answer here, Malik Beasley.
Oh, I never would have gotten that.
Rest of the comps, Didi Luzada. You can take that however you want. Terrical White, which that's a Wayback Machine one for me. Keldon Johnson, Miles Bridges, James Anderson. That's another Wayback Machine for me. Austin Rivers, Justin Jackson, Jordan Crawford, Alan Crabb. You can really get you can paint a pretty good picture of like what the low end, mid and high end range for Mathurin is, but like all those guys, like you can sort of see it. Where do you land on Mathurin, Matt?
I think he's a tough player to evaluate, kind of like those comps are suggesting.
I said. I think I'm the most confused with him out of everybody that's been taken so far. I have no idea what to make of him because Arizona had a lot of talent, worst division or worst conference in college basketball, pretty much out of any of the Power Fives. He didn't play well until the tournament, in my opinion.
No, his season was a little rough until then. And I mean, like, what is he going to do with Indiana? This is a guy that's like a questionable shooter, depending on where you play him. Like, I don't know about the size, but I don't know.
Well, also, Indiana's roster is going to look much different sooner rather than later. Miles Turner's probably going to be gone. Brogdon is probably going to be gone. It's just players who don't fit on their timeline right now. So I do think it's hard to really say who's a good fit for the Pacers because we don't know who's going to be on their team.
Yeah, you know that's going to be around more than me.
Yeah. Out of any player, you keep Halliburton 1, you keep Turner 2. Like I would want Turner. Me too. 3-point shooting defensive center. That sounds fun to me.
I think every single NBA Live before lock I've done with Josh over the last 2 years, he's been overweight to Miles Turner when it's been a Pacers slate.
Probably because he's usually 2% owned.
Yeah, it's true.
Matt, are you good?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
had some problems, but I think
J-Dog in the house
came on very concerned looking.
My internet.
He wasn't doing his job.
My internet just crapped out, and I was
it went away. Like
right when he has me join the stream, and this playback stuff, I'm new to the game on, so he's got to get me set up.
Yeah, I think you're good now.
Per James Edwards, Pistons beat writer, they are keeping Jaden Ivey despite several attempts from rival teams to acquire him. I assume that's not totally set in stone yet, because if there are still murmurs about Duran being available at 11, you can't set it. So you never know if the Knicks just do something stupid and add in another asset. But looks like Ivey's going to stay in the Pistons.
Why do they want Duran?
The Knicks.
No,
Yeah, whoever's
in
whoever's
this
trying to acquire
scenario,
him
the
in this deal.
Pistons. I don't. They need a center.
All I know is Durant. Didn't you say the Kings were looking at trying to get Durant?
No, that would have been the Pistons and
Makes
the
way more
Knicks.
sense. I just
And the Knicks, it seems like they aren't going to be bringing back Mitchell Robinson next year.
You would think no. Who the hell knows?
the Knicks probably do more weird shit than any.
All right, somebody talk while I go to the bathroom.
Makajewski, you grinding football tape? You ready to go?
I haven't been grinding tape, but I've been grinding the data. I spent probably like 6 hours today doing Mac depth charts for the offensive line. It's a tough life out here in the offseason. Now that USFL is winding down, I've been grinding that for the last 10 weeks.
Did you enjoy grinding the USFL? It seemed like a disaster to me.
It was a disaster in terms of the product. And for DFS, there were two big obstacles. DraftKings giving out all those free tickets. They filled their own like Millie Maker style tournament in week 2. So then a bunch of people that actually wanted to play couldn't play. And then the injury reporting has been atrocious. So that a player will be listed as inactive and then he's on the field. So it's been just a bad experience, even though everybody's playing with the same rules and regulations. But overall, there's been a pretty big edge despite all of that, if you're willing to put up with the nonsense and potentially being on the wrong end of it.
Is it how did the USFL do this year? Are they going to be back next year, do you think?
I know the money got tight for them, but I think they're going to make it to next year. At least everything indicates that. That's when things will get weird though, because the XFL is supposed to. Yeah, Josh, you left and we started talking about USFL, but yeah, it's supposed to be back next year. They'll have more competition, which will be weird.
All right, I'm gonna whiff on the correct pronunciation here. The
Jang?
Spurs, Sochan.
From Baylor?
Yes,
Yeah, that's how you say it. Sohan. Sochan.
Okay. I'm fascinated by this. He's one of my favorite guys in the draft from a data perspective. I understand that he can't shoot worth a shit. He's sort of in like a Ben Simmons type mold.
The Spurs love to draft guys that can't shoot.
They
He
sure
was
do.
awesome last year, and he didn't even start.
He graded out as basically one of the best guys in most of the data models.
Yeah,
He was
his
super
defensive game
productive.
is just ridiculous.
So
Everybody from
productive.
Baylor. Yeah, very productive.
And he only played 25 minutes a game for Baylor, which that team was stacked, and they only played him 30 or more minutes when they were hurt. But
So one thing I know that goes into a lot of the statistical models is, well, at least I remember reading about this a couple of years ago, is when they're projecting athleticism, they like to look at steals as a good measure for how much somebody's athleticism might translate to the next level. And he averaged 1.3 steals in 25 minutes per game, which I assume is something that has him rating out pretty well in those models.
Yeah.
He's sort of in the right spot in this like 9-10 range, but Jesse Fisher's model actually had him all the way up to second behind Jabari.
holy smokes.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you can I don't think that anybody really doubts his projectability on the defensive end moving forward. Like that seems like that you don't really have to project that. That's not going to go anywhere. If he can develop any sort of offensive game that scales up so quickly, it's very like you're obviously from a defensive perspective, he's the type of guy that you can see being able to be on the floor in a Warriors Celtics type series. Can he be enough offensively to be Gary Payton? Can he be enough offensively to be Grant Williams? Like that's where we kind of know these levels now after watching the playoffs for so many weeks.
Yeah.
Very projectable though.
He's
Who
like,
are the
he can't
who are
play the
comps?
5, can he?
I don't
mean-
think so.
Just curious, because Jakob Pertl, if you're going to take him off the floor at times,
He might not be on the Spurs after next year
yeah,
or after this year.
after this year.
He's a restricted free agent, so
Okay.
he might be on the way out. The Wizards are taking Johnny Davis.
I like that. Another great ball coach there at Wisconsin, Matt Krzyzewski.
Best thing he ever did was just let Johnny Davis have the ball every possession. Put
great.
Wisconsin in games. If teams could stop Johnny Davis, they beat Wisconsin. If they couldn't, they usually lost.
First round exit. Have a nice day.
So I'm curious, Josh, with Johnny Davis in these projection models, how is he grading out and what goes into it? Because I thought he was kind of a questionable prospect, a guy, depending on where you play him, he might be undersized too. Not a great shooter. What is his role and where are these models projecting him?
The consensus data model had him 13th. Just reading them all off: 15, 17, 19, 27, 20, 18, 32, and 9. So actually,
Not a
1, 2,
huge
3, 4,
reach.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. More like 14. Mox had him at 7, 10, and 12. So maybe a little bit overdrafted. Wasn't a prospect coming out of high school. He was the 119th ranked prospect coming out.
His college.
Just doesn't look great.
Like he shot 30% from 3 as like a 6'5" guard.
I mean, he graded out really poorly in the main model that I look at. He's 20, so that's fine.
He's not a ball handler.
Higher turnover rate than assist rate.
I mean, it seems like the right pick for the Wizards if they want to just continue to be themselves.
Well,
so shout out to Adam Scher for that one.
I mean, you're starting Satoransky right now at the point. That's not what you want.
Do you think Davis will play the point?
I think he has a chance.
Per Woj, they're getting their young point guard of the future.
Yeah, there you
They're
go.
calling him the point guard.
I could imagine he is. And Wisconsin had nobody offensively around. I mean, what were some of those totals for Wisconsin games this year, Matt? I mean, we were talking.
It was the
ridiculous.
Low 130s, high 120s.
Yeah, it was ridiculous pace of play. And I mean, that's the tough thing for me with a guy like Davis. If you're getting that much defensive attention, he's undersized 6'5".
Like Wisconsin played a true freshman point guard over him, and they never do that. Like Wisconsin's just like Purdue, where you got to take your lumps with the program before you get on the floor. Like that happened to Johnny Davis when he was a freshman, and he was their best player as the sixth man, and they still didn't play him. But they start this freshman point guard over him this year if his true position is point guard. And it could just be, Wisconsin. We're not talking about the NBA, so 6'5" is not undersized for the Big Ten. But projecting forward, I think it's different.
I don't completely hate it, but again, I don't.
I mean, he's super athletic.
Yes.
We're getting to the point now where, like, I don't got shit to say about guys that go 10, 11, 12, 13. Like, you take the best guy that's available.
Your shot, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, you take the best guy that you think is available at this point in time. Like the 13th guy, you don't not take someone based on anybody that's already on your roster. You just kind of take talent at this point.
I was going to say, Matt Krzyzewski, I'll open up the entire board to you. Who's your favorite guy to start a team with that's remaining in the draft?
I think I'm behind you guys. I'm like just like on this live draft tracker I'm watching it, try to not have 3 streams up at once. What pick are we on? That is not
11. 10 technically, but 10.
Oh, so just FYI, I'm not paying attention at all to the ESPN broadcast. I'm reading out whoever's getting picked the moment Woj tweets it.
So Johnny Davis was the 10th pick to the Wizards.
Yeah.
All right.
Or will be.
Yeah.
Someone else answer this question first. I'm going to get a live. I'm just going to go to Woj's Twitter instead of this live tracker, which is clearly
that's
2 picks behind.
That's the only place you can go. I have a list if you wanted to browse directly to like lists under my name on Twitter. That's called NBA Newsbreakers, so you don't get hit with like any phony bullshit. But it's Woj, Shams, Mark Stein, and somebody else.
So I also can't speak to the foreign players. Like it looks like some foreign players. No. It's just like my background is strictly college basketball, so I don't know these guys.
Flats.
So that market, I don't know anything about. I'm surprised to see people having AJ Griffin so high. Do you guys agree with that?
I want you to bite your tongue when you speak about Dookies.
I mean, I love Mark Williams. I'm guessing Mark Williams, if he doesn't grade well in
Literally.
those models, it's probably because of age. He's a little older. He'll be
Josh,
20
are you a Duke fan?
I'm a lapsed Duke fan.
Oh,
If there's ever been a team that I've cared about, Duke has run my life. There's probably a bunch of Duke shit. Again,
Yeah,
I'm looking at a hat right now next to me, but I don't watch college basketball ever now.
I was a diehard Duke fan growing up. My dog's named Duke for Duke, so just curious.
Really?
Up
Didn't
until
know that.
actually, like basically, the moment Austin Rivers hit that 3 over Tyler Hansborough, I like stopped watching after that.
Oh,
And I don't know why. I moved to the place that makes it easier to watch college basketball, and I cared less. It was, I don't know.
that makes kind of sense. It's like living on a golf course, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. I can't shit in the 13th hole. Knicks are the next team up, and obviously I think they're going Jalen Duran, which
We kind of got that tip off earlier when that they were going to try to flip Duran for Ivy, and I assume some sort of future pick, which didn't pan out. But it would seem that Duran's the guy they're taking.
Can you flip those two and try to get off of Toppin? Ooh.
How old is Toppin now? He's got to be like the oldest
35.
player in the NBA at this point, right?
Yeah.
47.
I've got Dyson Daniels comps, and a couple of them at the top are highly rated, and just a really wild top 3. Troy Brown Jr. is the number 1 comp for Dyson Daniels, which is whatever. You can understand where that's going. The second comp on this list is Drew Holiday. The third comp on the list is Andre Iguodala. Clearly, I see. Remember, these comps are, this is what this guy looked like coming out of college, not this guy's going to be prime Drew Holiday. That's a really, really interesting list of 3 guys, because you're certainly getting the idea of what he's going to be in the NBA. But if the floor is Troy Brown, he's a guy that makes the league minimum and gets the boot after 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook is 4th. DeAnthony Melton, Jarrett Culver, RJ Hampton. Culver and Hampton, 2 of the worst players in the NBA. Jacob Evans and Josh Green. I mean, that's a boom bust pick at the very least.
That's absurd.
I feel like you shoot for the ceiling, though.
Drew Holiday. There we go.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to boot out here. We got through the top 10. I've got to get myself some dinner and roll. But this is fun.
Well, we got the Knicks pick, evidently.
Oh, did
Unless
we?
this is a fake account. No, that is actually Shams. Ousmane Dieng.
There you
Nice.
go. New Zealand.
There was a really weird market on DraftKings. They had Jang was minus 150 to be a top 10 pick and minus 140 for under 11.5. I bet him on nothing other than that being a very weird line.
Well, evidently he is about to be a Knick.
Nice.
There you go. All right, my guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of it here. You're the best. This is just so cool.
Later, dude.
All right. Later.
Bye, Eric.
Later, Eric.
Bye, friends.
Thanks for being here. Eric Lindquist, ladies and gentlemen, the foremost fan of the new Saudi-backed golf league.
He actually left to go play on the. But I feel like I have to adjust my camera every time somebody leaves.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't feel like I have to do anything else. I just look like I'm in a shitty place.
We're in the really narrow.
Yeah, the box gets moved around, and then all of a sudden my hair doesn't fit on stream or something. But
everybody hates when the box moves. Knicks are moving Ousmane Dieng to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Love it for the Thunder. Just FYI.
Who is this guy?
He's an Australian gent. Tall, long. Here is the write-up from Kevin O'Connor's mock. Dieng is one of the biggest risers in the draft as a smooth 6'10" shot creator who oozes upside. Raw as a scorer. Pelicans, well, he was mocked to the Pelicans at 8. Doesn't matter. playmaking dude with size who flashed excellent defensive versatility as a teenager. Size, scoring, will to pass, potential defense. Could be the steal of the draft.
Can he shoot?
Fuck if I know. Shot 21% from 3 on 61 attempts in wherever the hell he was playing for, whatever the hell team he was on.
He was playing for the New Zealand Breakers, which is also where RJ Hampton played.
Yeah.
Hey, at least it's better than Duran, who shot 0 threes.
Yeah. Apparently he's really dynamic with the ball, but where the ball goes. So shades of Brandon Ingram, prime Chandler Parsons, and Evan Turner.
Well, a lot of guys who can't shoot.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Again, I know nothing about the players from the foreign markets.
Yes, Carlos. I don't know anything about them, but I love them for Oklahoma City because they have 27 million draft picks. Why not take all of the lottery tickets that you could possibly find? They don't need guys that are going to be like really good eighth men on the team.
Also, this seems like a good guy to stash in the G League.
Yeah, exactly.
19
they have
years old.
infinite assets moving forward. They should not be taking high floor rando assholes.
Do we know what the Knicks got in exchange yet?
No. The Thunder will send multiple first round picks to New York.
I mean,
they have
I'm
a
sure they have
bunch
a
in the
million shitty first round picks that are going to be protected.
They have a ton that are lottery protected moving forward, which is basically like useless to them in the grand scheme of things. Which, so like, I don't have much of an issue there. I just like the idea of, taking a shot. Let's see. So where was he in the consensus? I mean, not highly ranked. 44th in the consensus models. Highest that any one of the 8 models had him was 27th. But like, he's sort of I'm not saying this as that kind of comp, but like, he strikes me as the Giannis of this draft in that like his data doesn't exist. He's not in any sort of local league. He's not an overtime elite guy or like he didn't go straight to the G League, wasn't at a college campus. So I'd be I don't know how that guy could ever grade out well in a model. You're assuming you're betting on player development.
Trying to take some size, aren't they?
What'd you say?
Their picks now both have a lot of size.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot from the Thunder as of late. I mean, last year, Giddey's very big for a guard. Who else have they taken in? Obviously, Chet
Poku.
This year. Pokashevsky, yeah, who's just, let's just get a big, long, tall guy who's athletic and see what the hell he does. They definitely have a type.
It's a bunch of length now. I don't know this Australian guy, but they seem all very versatile too.
I just like they don't have they have so many picks. They have that they can't even fill roster spots. Like they don't have a choice but to consolidate in some way moving forward. If you want to bet on player development, that's the type of guy you want to take a swing on because apparently he's talented. He just can't do any of the actual skills.
And eventually OKC has to use those picks to go all in and make a run at something.
Yeah.
Can't just pick players for infinity.
No, but like you can definitely like they can pretty consistently take 3 picks and turn them into 1 every year.
They still have
for like
the
12th
12th
pick
years. Too.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of the deal.
Is that official?
Yes.
Yeah, and they took Jalen Williams. Anything there, Matt?
I don't see that yet.
Just trust me. That is per Shams.
They took Jalen Williams.
Correct.
Now that seems like a little bit of a reach.
Let's see. Jalen Williams came in 32nd in the models, 18th in the mocks, not grading out well. 6'6" guard out of Santa Clara, 21 years old.
Why wouldn't you take AJ Griffin?
Let's see.
Like if you're taking
Jalen, shades of TJ Warren and OG Anunoby.
I think I'd rather have Griffin.
Shot 39.5% from 3.
That's good, but AJ Griffin's better.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, AJ Griffin,
and he's playing the only opponent they face is Gonzaga.
AJ Griffin 16th in the models, so that's 16 spots higher than Jalen Griffin or Jalen Williams. Sorry,
and Griffin's younger as well, right?
Wait,
yeah,
hold on.
18 or
hold on.
19.
There's 2 Jalen Williams in this draft.
Did we get the wrong one?
Jaylin is 20th in the model, 38th in the mock. Jalen, the Santa Clara guard, 32nd and 18th. Jalen Williams, Jalen is the pick.
Okay, so we're talking about the right guy.
Correct. Yeah, I don't. AJ Griffin is 11th in the mocks. Jalen Williams was 18th. To me, interesting pick from the Thunder. Seems like didn't need to take him at that spot, but doesn't seem like a guy that you would be trying to keep.
They play a very similar role. They're the same height. They do the same thing, or supposedly, and then one of them's better at most of those skills.
So Bobby Marks just tweeted it out. The wingspan for the first 2 guys that OKC took: Holmgren 7'6", Jang 7'1".
They have to have the longest team in the NBA, right? SGA is very long as well.
It might be Boston.
And I'm just very confused by this Jalen Williams pick.
I'm not so sure I get it either. But like we're starting to get into that range where like the difference between the guy ranked 12th and 18th is probably nothing. So
that is fair. He just seems like a 3-point shooter.
So that's 3 lottery selections for Oklahoma City here today.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the Knicks got in exchange.
I think it's just future picks.
Yeah, but which picks?
Nothing. I'm quite confident that none of them are any good if I know probably. Sam Presti.
Are you telling me the Knicks might have gotten fleeced on something?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that they got fleeced. Like, they probably got a decent haul, but there's just no chance that I'm going to assume that Sam Presti lost a trade.
It's a reasonable assumption.
Greg, were you on that over 13.5 Agbaji?
No, so I had the bets that I had coming into today was Jang and then just a lot of money on Jabari Smith. But after all of the weirdness happened, and then once Woj tweeted that Banchero was in the mix, I just hedged out of my position. I was like, I'm just going to lock in a small profit. I wanted nothing to do with that anymore. But other than that, I did not have bets.
I heard you talk about the hedging on. I think that was smart. The odd, you could have profited on that number 1 pick just today.
Yeah.
So there was a point today where, so at least there was a point this morning where Smith was minus 10,000, and there was also a point today where Banchero was minus 5,000.
What were the limits on that? $100, $50?
On FanDuel, I mean, it's not a consensus. It's based on your account, and it's very, very random limits. But on FanDuel, it was like $1,627 for me. It was the most that I was allowed to bet. So it wasn't like unlimited
on the dog or on when those guys were the favorites.
No. That was the most you were allowed to profit on the bet. Because the way FanDuel did the draft market,
I got you.
It wasn't like this is the most you could bet. This is the most you're allowed to profit.
I got you.
And it was a very random number.
So who's next on the clock here?
One more thing I'll add about that before we move on also is the limit reset every time the odds reset, which constantly happens. So if you wanted to, you could have just sat there if you were, what the really sharp thing to do would be to bet the opposite side of the news every time it came out. Like anytime there was a rumor, you just bet the other guy once the odds moved, and you could have had like pretty good plus money on both Smith and Boncaro.
I would not be surprised if we get Mark Williams here. I also would not be surprised if the Hornets take both Duke guys.
I'd like AJ Griffin at this point a lot.
Seems like a perfect opportunity for Michael Jordan to try to take 2 fourth-year seniors.
Michael Jordan will do whatever saves Michael Jordan money, which is trading this pick for cash considerations.
Do you have a preference between the two? I like Griffin for the Duke players that are left.
Just the way that the league is moving, I prefer Griffin, but I think Mark Williams is going to have like a really long career. I think he's pretty, like, I think defensively he's going to be good. I just don't know how much it's going to matter.
Were you including Wendell Moore in that discussion too? Were you talking about they go for both Mark Williams and Wendell Moore?
No, Mark Williams.
Is that what you're alluding to?
No, what Moore is probably like late first.
When you said Duke guys, and you said they take the 2 old guys. I was like, wait a minute, are you talking Wendell Moore too?
No, well, I was just referencing that Jordan likes to take like highly seasoned anything they can find, generally speaking, or at least did for a while. Guy. Because they've got 2 here. They've got 13 and 15. It goes Hornets, Cavs, Hornets, and then we start to get into teams that actually have a pulse. Well, in a way, the Hawks would then be next. But like a Hawks pick is relevant, you know. When you have Trae Young, things matter.
Definitely.
Charlotte will take Jalen Duren at the 13th pick. So they went center. They just chose him over Mark Williams, which I don't think is crazy.
We got the younger guy who's never shot a 3.
Yeah, I mean, like he's obviously potentially an elite shot blocker, but
which is exactly what they do need, because their interior defense and rim protection could not have been worse last year. And for whatever reason, they thought trading for Montrezl Harrell was going to make that better.
Yeah, they are bringing back Plumlee, or at least as of right now.
Not Harrell though.
He just had such a hard time getting on the court in college, which could even be another. Penny is not a great coach at Memphis. He often struggles to deploy his talent, but I don't know. I imagine from some of the production metrics, it wasn't great for him.
Ooh. We want to talk about one quick little point here.
Yeah, go.
I just saw like sort of mentioned in a random tweet. I wonder what, like, I like the Knicks trade in general, you know, it better for their cap, assets down the line, whatever. Like that guy wasn't necessarily going to matter. I bet having multiple first-round picks coming in as future assets to trade out for a Kyrie Irving is an interesting discussion point. They now have significantly more future assets to deploy to the Brooklyn Nets if the Nets wanted to try to refill the coffers that all exist in Houston now. That would be fascinating. I would love to see Kyrie go to New York because obviously the Garden would love him when he's actually playing, but I would love to see the Knicks just continue to suck. That would be really fulfilling for me.
To Knicks.
I've been in Madison Square Garden for one game. It was Duke losing to St. John's with 0 seconds left on the court. Or on the clock. They lost to a free throw made for a foul with no time left.
Wow. What a way to lose.
Yeah. My dad and I had the worst, well, like the seat, like, you know, the visual experience was fine, but we had the literal worst seats in MSG. Backs against the concrete, highest level you could get to.
Duran traded to the Knicks.
There you go.
So they are, to me, that means that they are not, well, the Hornets want nothing to do with rim protection, obviously. This is not something in their future plans at all.
Well,
unless Mitchell Robinson involved, maybe?
Well, no. So the Hornets pick 15th as well. They could just as easily be taking Mark Williams here.
Fair enough.
I'm not saying like that's happening or anything like that, but they still pick again immediately. Like only the Cavs are in between them. So, and if the Cavs are taking a shot blocking center here, I'm going to be pretty surprised.
Well, the
like
Agbaji overs cashed, so it's all good in the world.
Okay, so the Knicks.
Oh, we've got a war here. Shams and Woj conflicting information.
Pistons acquiring Duran, and then the Hornets are trading him to the Knicks. So this has happened before. Isaiah Thomas trade like 5 years ago.
It also happened with the Westbrook trade in the offseason.
Oh yeah, it did.
We had Woj.
Well, I think the Sacramento it was the Sacramento deal, which I think was like real.
Yeah, so it had been explained after the fact, but what
Durant
Woj
at Detroit per Jake Fisher too, so that's 2 for Detroit.
All right, Woj was on Detroit as well, right?
Yeah, this would be a Shams error.
Woj could use a win after he reported that Smith was going first overall this morning. But the Westbrook trade was Woj reported that Kuzma and KCP were being traded to the Wizards for Healed and something else. I forget exactly what it was. And then Shams almost the exact same time said that they were trading that package for Westbrook. Obviously, Shams ended up being right. The Lakers were the biggest losers of the entire thing. But the other thing, too, is a story came out afterwards that the Lakers and the Kings actually did agree to a trade. And then it basically got vetoed by Anthony Davis and LeBron, who went to the front office and said, hey, we went out to dinner with Westbrook. We would like to play to him. And they basically forced the hand of the front office and made them go out and acquire Westbrook.
They would have been so much better with that Kings deal. It's insane. If I remember correctly, like I think they kept KCP in the Kings deal too, and then got Healed and whoever the fuck. And oh my god, it's just so much better. So much better. Cleveland's taking Agbaji.
I don't care anymore. As long as the over hit. He had to go over 13.5. Now whoever wants him can take him.
Well, he's on his way to the Cavs.
They just got themselves a really old shooter. Hope they let it.
Well, they needed a shooter, that's for sure.
He is from Milwaukee. He's a hometown guy for me, so gotta like him.
I was just about to ask, is that a good thing?
Yes, where I live.
22-year-old senior, 41% from 3 on 209 attempts.
He was our best player this year, without a doubt. Not even close. But he kind of faded in the tournament. He sort of folded a little bit.
Did they win it?
Kansas? No.
Who won it?
Oh, yeah, they did. Sorry, excuse me.
I was like, I'm pretty sure they played Carolina.
They did.
I don't think Carolina won.
Kind of in spite of him through a lot of it.
Gotcha. So we still don't know what this Knicks trade is about to be. The Knicks are trading Kemba Walker to the Pistons.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't. So
who starts at point guard? Kemba Walker or Cade Cunningham?
Killian Hayes. It's a trick question. Okay, so the Pistons are probably going to buy him out, although he doesn't make all that much. Maybe they just want him. Maybe they're not bringing Corey Joseph back. I can't even remember if he's got a contract. I assume that's a buyout because I think they're still, stocking up to try and get themselves one DeAndre Ayton. But if they're trading,
I think a lot of teams are going to want DeAndre Ayton other than the Phoenix Suns. The team that should want him, they don't want him.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Because Sarver's so cheap. I tweeted about this last night.
Don't pay Chris Paul anymore.
What's that?
Then don't pay Chris Paul any longer.
Well, that ship is kind of sailed. But do you remember the Kurt Thomas trade they made to save salary?
I saw you talking about it with, I can't remember who on Twitter, but yeah, it was him and picks for nothing at all.
With Eddie, they traded with Eddie Fear. The Suns traded Kurt Thomas and 2 first-round picks for a protected second-round pick to dump salary.
It was the top 55 protected bullshit second too.
Yeah,
I think.
It's the most egregious salary dump trade I've ever seen.
Okay, so we've got per Mark Stein, the Pistons are getting Jalen Duren, and the Knicks are shedding Kemba Walker's salary to Detroit to help fund their free agent pursuit of Jalen Brunson. The Pistons are sending the Hornets the 2025 first round pick via Milwaukee. That's the pick that they just got from Jeremy Grant. I like that piece of business a lot for the Pistons. A lot. I don't necessarily care too much about Duran because, as I've said ad nauseum during this show, I'm not going to pretend to be able to think that I know how good the fucking 14th best guy is in the draft. But the 2025 top 4 protected Bucks pick, Giannis would be 30 in that year. This feels like the pick is better than what you would expect that pick to be in 2025. And a current pick is worth more than a future pick. So I like that. And you got to eat Kemba Walker's deal to do it. Pistons have the salary cap room to do it. They can clearly stretch him if they wanted to, and he'd be like $3 million a year for the next 3 years or something, or just eat it for 8.
They probably don't even have to.
Well, it depends what they're trying to do. I don't know if it would matter at all for sending an offer, taking an offer sheet out on whether it's Ayton, whether it's Miles Bridges, whatever they would be trying to do. But I don't think it's going to matter. But I like the way that they're using that pick. I thought that they could have got more than that pick in the Grant trade, and that didn't appear to be the case. But if you're going to be able to turn that into whatever the hell pick that was, 12, 13, I can't remember now. I think that's better. I could go either way. Appreciate the people that are still here too, by the way. We've been going for 90 minutes. I'm thinking we probably wrap this up somewhere around either 10 o'clock or what do we have left? Is there a pick that we definitely need to see? So here are the rest of the people or the rest of the teams that are going to pick. We have the second Hornets pick, which will be up next. Did that just happen? The Hornets are taking Mark Williams. Spoke that one into existence 20 minutes ago.
Good call.
So the Hornets just took Mark Williams. Makes sense. The Hawks are up next. I'm interested in this pick just because the Hawks have a legit high-end piece of talent. The Rockets have another pick coming up after that. Bulls, Wolves, Spurs again, and then we start getting into all the playoffs teams.
And those are the fun
I bet the
ones
Spurs
too.
take somebody weird because they always do.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm interested in the Hawks pick for sure. I'm really interested in the Rockets pick, honestly, just because young talent going to a team that is going to play young talent is fun. Jalen Duran comps. We've got 2 guys rated 80 or higher, which is nice. Both, I would say, good to slightly very good, depending on the times. Big men in the NBA. One a bit older than the other. One still active. Both guys still active. One on their last legs. Derek Favors is the number 1 comp for Duran. Clint Capella, number 2. You end up having either one of those careers, you're pretty happy with it. I mean, Derek Favors was legitimately good. Capella, good. Onuaku out of Louisville is 3rd. Tyrus Thomas, Patrick O'Brien. That one didn't go well. Wendell Carter Jr., Okongwu, Bebe Noguera, Daniel Gafford, Deontay Davis. There's a lot of high-end talent there.
Which team do you think has been the worst at drafting as of late?
I mean, taking Marvin Bagley seems like a pretty big stain.
So that's also something I almost feel like Jaden Ivey is.
The Hawks are taking AJ Griffin.
Let's go.
That's a good fit for them.
Agreed.
Phenomenal shooter.
Anyway, Ivey's destined to be good just because the Kings were expected to pick him and didn't.
Potentially, yeah. By the way, AJ Griffin comps shades of Jaylen Brown and TJ Warren. That would obviously go quite well for the Atlanta Hawks. That's the type of guy they need. Curious if they try to get off of Kevin Huerter's money. Not that really matters at all, but wouldn't be surprised if they try to offload Huerter. Beat the Miami Heat to trying to offload Duncan Robinson. Let's see what else we got.
This is a wild viewing experience.
In what way?
Woj just says the picks before they come out officially and tweets them all out ahead of time too. So it's like it's very easy to get information ahead of what actually comes out on TV.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, the broadcast sucks. We know the picks 20 minutes
Stephen
before
A. is
they're in.
on it.
Oh yeah, you gotta get his analysis. I'm sure he's yelling about.
I mean, he's already said he didn't know who a lottery pick was.
J-Dog in the house.
Do you guys think Woj like tweets from his phone, or do you like think he has like someone like? Do you think he has like a team of people that tweet for him, or is it just him?
I would guess that he has a team right now while he's live, but I would also, I mean, like in this situation, it's probably a laptop over a phone.
Well, you could also click on his tweets and see where they're coming from. So Twitter web app, he's probably on site at the draft, just tweeting from his computer and typing.
Yeah, but like you got to be taking calls and stuff to get this information. He's got to have like an assistant.
Used to be Shams.
Used to be.
Jordan keeps coming and going.
Don't we all?
Who's on the clock now? So Atlanta just went. AJ Griffin.
Bulls? No, the Rockets.
The Rockets.
Yeah, it's the Rockets and then the Bulls.
I feel like this top of the draft hasn't been as crazy as previous years.
I mean, I think it's been relatively normal.
Really?
Like nothing wild in comparison.
Who do you think the number one player is left right now?
Oh, shit, you're asking the wrong guy. I probably couldn't name anybody else without like. Just
I can.
At
the problem with like my analysis is I know all these guys from a college lens, so
yeah,
projecting them forward is the difficult part. I mean, as it is with these teams too, but.
Bob Bass in YouTube chat said Sixers are the worst. Could have had Brown and Tatum. They made the right choice.
All right. Here's the worst. Guess how long it has been since the Knicks drafted a player and signed him to a second contract.
It's Charlie Ward.
It is Charlie Ward. That wins by default. If you are so poor at evaluating your players that number one, you don't sign them to a second contract because they're not good enough, or you're so bad at evaluating players that even after you see them, you decide that they're not good enough and another team, that's the answer. The Knicks haven't signed somebody to a second contract since Charlie Ward 27 years ago.
A little blurry on that one because obviously Kristaps Porzingis should count in this.
Should he?
I mean, they traded him. They got a wealth of picks and alternate assets in the deal. I understand that they didn't give him that contract, but like he didn't fail.
No, he didn't fail, but the Knicks didn't.
I agree that they're the answer.
Yeah,
but like, Porzingis was correct.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the worst pick possible. The totality of what the Knicks have done is worse than what anybody else has done.
I mean, they took Obi Toppin. Like that was a stain on its own. But Fultz, the Sixers taking Fultz, you can't re-look at that as if Fultz wasn't like basically the consensus one. No one expected him to just functionally break the moment he got drafted. Like he didn't bust. He like melted down. I don't know how else to describe it.
But the Knicks have Mitchell Robinson is good. I like Mitchell Robinson. So the Knicks, once again, the Knicks got him in the second round. Great pick. They're probably not going to re-sign him because they're so bad at managing their players and assets.
Well, no, I think they are going to re-sign him now.
Robinson?
Yeah. Who the hell else are they going to play at center?
Taj Gibson, as long as Tibbs is the coach.
That's true. Nerlens Noel, I think, is a free agent as well. Yeah, I knew it was the Charlie Ward answer. I just didn't remember how long ago it was.
Woj seems very happy with this Detroit haul. A little surprised.
I mean, they got the guy that everybody thought was going to go at 4 at 5, which from like a mock perspective, I mean, even
I guess that's
obviously
good
like
value.
you guys like Ivy more than, or you like Ivy more than I do. Regardless, we can call that a win, getting him when he slightly fell. You were able to get Jalen Duran at 13, and all it cost you was the 2025 Bucks first, which is an incredible value to just cash that in. Whether or not you're a Durant fan is a completely different question, but like, I think they did a great job of getting 2 lottery talents at as low of a cost as you can get them.
From just like a pure value perspective, that makes a lot of sense. Like taking
Tari
the players out
East
of
into
it.
the Rockets.
Didn't Nate call that in the chat? I think he did.
Maybe
Tari
he's got
Eason.
better sources than a lot of people, better source than Woj today. So maybe he was just had the scoop before him.
He said best available. Yeah, I think from a value perspective, the Pistons are doing well.
All right, now who's up? Bulls.
Bulls.
What do they need?
Shooting.
Everything.
They need shooting.
They need everything. Defense, sort of, depending on the position.
They would be a really good landing spot for Gobert.
Yeah, I agree.
So
depends what's got to go out, though.
Would they draft Walker Kessler then?
So interesting discussion point there. Walker Kessler is the inverse of Jaden Ivey. He is the guy that ranks incredibly high across all of the models and incredibly low in mock drafts.
He's like one of the best defenders in all of college basketball. And a lot of it's just because of his length.
I think we're going to see Walker Kessler go to Minnesota.
So that's one pick later.
Yeah. Comps for Mark Williams. Not a lot of guys with high sim scores, which is kind of weird for big men. Normally, it's a lot easier for just like your standard issue center to have guys that look like him. Bebe Nogueira is first, and then like a lot of these guys had comps over 80. The second highest comp for Mark Williams is at 69. Nice. But one of those comps is Greg Oden, which is obviously you would love to project like Greg Oden. There are a lot of people that probably think that Greg Oden is a bust.
Greg Oden was awesome.
He was fucking incredible, man. The game that he played with a broken wrist against Florida is one of the most like ridiculous things I've seen. But Rudy Gobert also on this list, so it's interesting.
What are some of the comps for Eason? I'm kind of interested just because I saw his steal rate is crazy high. He averaged
hasn't come by yet.
Okay. He averaged 1.9 steals per game in 24 minutes. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, if when I see Jesse Fisher post them, I'll make sure to shout them out. He just got to Mark Williams now.
Yeah, Tari was awesome. He just couldn't keep his hands to himself. Fouled out constantly.
His foul rate was a lot better in his sophomore year than his freshman year at Cincinnati. His freshman year, he played 18 minutes per game and averaged nearly 3 fouls.
Yeah, it's been it shouldn't be as much of an issue in the NBA either. Just like you don't have the 2-foul auto benching shit.
I think getting rid of foul outs in basketball would be the thing that I would want to change most in any sport for anything.
Agreed. Well, I don't know about anything, but in general, I would be in favor of them getting rid of it.
For sports, I mean, like anything across the board. I think it's the worst rule, and it negatively impacts the product
Without a doubt, significantly.
The rule that I actually think is the worst because it doesn't impact the game at all is the celebration rules in the NFL. Like, who gives a shit that players dance after scoring a touchdown?
Also dumb.
But I would really like to see the foul out rule changed in the NBA, mostly because who want, like, what's the benefit of players fouling out? Who wants to see Steph Curry get in foul trouble in NBA Finals games? Who wants to see Jaylen Brown have to come off the court? I don't understand what it adds to the game. That, and you also get players have to change their games so differently. There were some games in the NBA Finals where Steph Curry would pick up 2 fouls in the first quarter. If the Warriors left him in, he would just not defend anybody. He would just give up buckets. Right. So I don't really think it adds anything. I'm on the same page as you.
No, and you have the mechanisms in the game to just make the penalty be a different penalty. To whether it's shots, the ball, shots and the ball, like whatever levels you want to set those up, it doesn't change the product in any way. And you just everybody should always want the best players to be able to play as many minutes as they possibly can. I reference it a lot, but like, could you imagine if you got a holding penalty and you just like had to take your left tackle out for the rest of the first quarter? That would be insane. Like, no one would ever want that. Or like pass interference. All right, well, that guy's done for 2 series. Like, no other sports do this.
Yeah, it
like
should
hockey
be
to a degree, but like it's not like you get I don't know shit about hockey, like a cross-checking penalty, and all of a sudden it's just like, all right, well, you can't play anymore.
So off the top of my head, this is how I would do it. If you just get an extra free throw. So after a guy gets 6+ fouls, on a 2-shot foul, the guy's shooting 3 free throws, 3-shot foul, they're shooting 4 free throws. So there's still a penalty for racking up excessive fouls, but it's not anything crazy. It's certainly not as bad as losing one of your better players.
No. And like, I obviously want to get rid of multiple free throws. Like, I definitely want to take, 1 for 2, 1 for 3 type stuff, speed the game up. I'm happy with that. Those sort of penalties continue to work, but it's all right there.
Ooh,
and like, everyone should want to do that.
Oh no, they didn't. Just kidding. It's a fake news Twitter.
Still nothing from
the real accounts. Got duped almost.
See, that's why I told you. You got to follow my NBA Newsbreakers list.
I'm new to this. Normally, I watch just as a fun spectator.
Good to have you on. I totally forgot that you just like annihilate college basketball coverage. And Jordan was like, Matt's coming on. I was like, Matt? He was like, Gajeski. I was just like,
who is Matt?
I was like, why? And he was just like, he does like all the college basketball. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Like, this is rooted in college basketball. I was like, I'm not sure that Matt's ever done a single NBA show.
I watch NBA strictly as a fan. I mean, how can you do both? Like playing DFS for both sports.
That's fair.
Yeah. College is incredibly demanding time-wise, and from what I hear, it sounds like NBA.
It's not just 30 teams. Yeah, you got 360 Division I teams or whatever the hell the number is at this point.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. It's fun for football too.
This guy's got an interesting suit on.
If you're in legal states for college DFS.
I thought I was going to be in a legal state for betting, and then it failed by a vote.
I saw that, man.
Yeah, this dude's suit looks like the Riddler. No bullshit.
It would be really cool if he just had it as the Riddler suit, or he kind of looks like Matthew Lesko.
That'd be sick.
Anybody else get that one? You guys remember Matthew Lesko? No.
Jordan Klein misbehaving.
J-Dog.
I don't understand that reference.
I started calling him J-Dog before.
It's his name.
Baseball.
Jordan Klein is J-Dog now?
Yeah.
All right, J-Dog.
He laughed, said he didn't like it, so we decided that we were going to keep it forever. All right, here we go. Else. Kemba Walker's going to look to get a buyout from Detroit, as expected. Chicago will take Dalen Terry.
Ooh, what? Did he grade out that high?
I don't know who he is. He was 19th on Kevin O'Connor's big board. Shades of Iggy and Will Barton. Brings energy to the court with his defense and passing, but his shooting needs to improve. Shot 36% from 3 on limited attempts. 8 points per game.
That's what I'm saying. Plus, he's a little older.
No, he's only 20.
Yeah, a little.
Nothing too crazy. Let's go all the way back. Model and comparisons. What the hell is this guy's name? Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry, 22nd in the statistical models with ranking as high as 6th, 26th in the models. So, even if you just want to say 20, this
not an
is
egregious reach.
at
He's good
pick
size.
18. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I mean, the fact that we're at 18 now, like we've kind of, nothing's too weird.
He's on a team that had a lot of mouths to feed too. I mean,
okay, so Eric just tweeted this, and I don't. Oh, wait. The NBA commissioner, this is from his wife. The NBA commissioner looks like the bad guy from Willy Wonka. There's a villain?
Is
He's the guy that tries to steal the tickets.
Yeah, but
To
he's
go
not
in.
an actual villain. They work together. That's the reveal in the end is he's not a bad guy.
Yeah, but-
Eric would be confused by Willy Wonka. It's way too advanced of a movie for him.
What is his name? Like Squidworth or something like that?
It's something like that. It's some weird ass name.
I think it ends in Worth.
Yeah.
Slugworth.
I-
Arthur
it's-
Slugworth.
I
Thank you,
think that-
guys.
Is that it?
I think
Oh,
I
it's
was
actually it.
confusing him with the guy that lives in a pineapple under the sea.
way better.
I've got AJ Griffin comps.
Oh,
The number
all right.
one. I heard the bloop, 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 bloop of my AirPods, so we really are going to get out of here in 8 minutes.
I was just gonna say it's time for me to go.
No, none of the comps. Only one comp is north of 72. So not a lot of high options here for AJ Griffin. However, the number one comp is a point guard that will be making his return to the court this coming season.
John Wall.
No, but I like where your head's at. Better.
Damian Lillard.
Not better. Similar. The answer, Jamal Murray.
Oh, I totally forgot about Jamal Murray.
Justin Anderson, Neesmith, Shan Foster, Xavier Henry, Mikal Bridges, Von Wafer, Brandon Ingram, Rashad McCants, and John Jenkins. All over the place there with types of players, that's for sure. Which makes sense. Those player comp scores were really low. He hasn't tweeted out anything on the Riddler yet, so I don't remember his name. Eason.
Tari.
It's going to be a lot easier for me to remember Eason.
Matt, is Evan Mobley's brother in this draft?
He's staying, I think.
He's staying?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No, but I'm.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So, guys, we're going to bounce out of here in about 8 minutes. By the way, let's do this quickly. I want to go shout out Stokastic.com. Somebody that's following Stokastic NBA is going to win a week. Although he almost fell out of the top 3. So thanks for being here. Playback. Thank you guys for allowing us to run this stream. It's a fantastic service. It was great for all the finals games. Lafayette and I had a blast. Worked flawlessly here for the draft. Greg, Matt, thank you guys for being here. Jordan, thanks for piecing this stuff together on the back end. I know I didn't call you J-Dog there because I forgot I was in serious mode for a second.
Yeah, I got confused. You said Jordan. I was like, I don't even know who that is. That's not somebody. That's not one of my friends.
Sometimes I have to just black out like Will Ferrell and do my job the correct way.
No, never.
Every now and again. But I don't have any sponsors to plug. I don't know why we didn't get a sponsor. Shout out to Odd Shopper, I guess, for sponsoring this bad boy. Because I know that at the very least, Odd Shopper sponsors everything that no one else sponsors.
Go on, Shopper.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it is a tool that everyone should be using. There's no downside. It will only put more money in your pocket. No way around it.
Can attest to that.
So the Knicks, per Mark Stein, are trying to clear cap space to make a run at Jalen Brunson. That is their primary target.
Very true. They're going to need to get off of another contract that probably not. I mean, there's been a lot of murmurings that we could potentially see Evan Fournier go into the Evan Fournier trade exception back to Boston,
That was a horrendous contract.
which is a legal deal, I might add. It's not that bad.
The
It's not
Fournier
great.
contract?
I'm not saying it's good, but it's not that bad.
Also, it came at the opportunity cost of not playing better players.
Like, he's got 2 years, 36 left. Do I want to pay him that? Of course not. But the third year, like, there's a third year at $19 million that's a team option. If you're paying him $18 million a year for the next 2 years, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are way worse deals. Let's see where I have him rated, actually.
He could have just been playing quickly those minutes.
Well, that I agree is a problem. So on a blend of EPM, Rapham, LeBron, and Raptor, I've got him at plus 0.4 on offense, minus 0.7 on defense. So a negative 0.3 guy. Plays about 2,000 minutes a year. If he does that, he's worth up 13 this year. Aging probably makes it like 12 the next year. Is he overpaid by 10, 12 million? Could probably get off of it for a late first or a decent second and another second. That's not too bad. I'm not saying it's an asset. And if I'm Boston, you take him in if you want to get that salary slot. If you don't think that you can bring anybody else in, if the alternative is the trade exception expires, then I would rather bring in Fournier, and if I can, attach an asset to him to try and turn him into a different $20 million a year player. Memphis is acquiring the number 19 pick from Minnesota, and they are selecting Wake Forest Jake LaRavia.
Oh, love that guy.
Oh my God, that almost
Minnesota
came out a basketball orgasm.
Yeah, you go clean up. The Timberwolves are getting the 22nd and 29th pick in the draft.
Too late first round picks.
Matt, what do we need to know about Jake LaRavia?
He's kind of this weird dude. He went to a really small school, Indiana State, and then he up transferred this year to Wake Forest. And then he was kind of like a do-it-all guy for their team as a big. He's 6'9", so I don't know if they'll try to make him play the 5 in the NBA, but I think he has enough skill to move around. He shot 38% from 3, so he's very versatile.
He measured 6'6" and 3/4.
Well, in that case, his 6'9" listing on their team site is a bit ridiculous.
Well, maybe put shoes on or whatever. Maybe 6'9" in the pants. Who knows?
All right, so he's far more undersized than that, but at least you get a 38.5% 3-point shooter, so he can do a little more. He's definitely not going to be your ball handler, though.
Well, this makes a ton of sense for why this happened. First of all, I think he's a bit of an overdraft, but we'll discuss. We can ignore that piece of information for right now. On his way to the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously great player development there. The Memphis Grizzlies have a free agent problem on their hands. Kyle Anderson is a free agent. Shades of Kyle Anderson is the only comp listed on Kevin O'Connor's big board. Highly skilled player who makes his teammates better with passing, cutting, and defending. Looks like they just replaced Kyle Anderson with new Kyle Anderson. Slower, Mo? What do we call this dude?
He probably is slower. I mean, he was so under-recruited, he had to go to Indiana State.
Whoa. Larry Bird would smack you around for that.
Was Larry Bird heavily recruited in his day? Were they a powerhouse back then? The Sycamores?
They were because of him. I don't know if they were before that. I don't remember a lot of things that were happening in 1978.
They suck now.
Surely.
I'm sure they didn't with Larry Bird, but they suck now.
Indiana can't get real recruits. I don't get the sense that Indiana, not a lot going on in the state of Indiana. Not a hotbed.
Not for, and the ones they do get, they just up transfer.
Well,
Does that do it for us?
I like that trade for the Timberwolves too. Get 22 and 29, bring in some more young talent, see what you can get. Maybe somebody slips or falls. Or the next pick up is the Spurs. I could not care less about the Spurs taking someone, so I think we should probably pack it in here, folks. 20 picks in the books. 2 hours in the books. You guys got anything else? Matt, I never see you on streams. Do you have anything that you want to plug right now?
We're just in the lab working on the college football product. USFL is ending, so I can't really plug that at this point. Betting You came back this week. Our betting podcast that me and Ben Raza do. So that is cool. Our first episode of the year came out today, so check that out. But other than that, I think that's it.
I assume you can find Betting You on the
All of the
Oddshopper channel.
Yeah,
and then
everywhere.
Anywhere you can get a podcast.
Yes.
Boom. Greg, plugs? Anything?
I'm sure I'm doing every baseball show on the channel tomorrow.
I'm on both of them. I'm on.
Are you? So I'll be hanging out with Josh. J-Dog will be producing. It's going to be a good time.
I don't know if that's true either.
Yeah, don't nod your head. All right, just because of that attitude. Nope, you're getting added to the schedule. I'm messaging your boss. Chris, add J-Dog to the schedule. He wants another day.
Greg, you got an easy one. You're on Live Before Lock with Eric. Adam and I are strategy show deeper dive combo tomorrow.
Ooh.
So I'm pulling the double shift tomorrow, early and late. And then I throw to you for Live Before Lock. But that's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Check out Stokastic.com. Check out Oddshopper. Check out everything. Thank you to Playback for allowing us to stream. Thank you to YouTube for not giving me a strike for any of the ridiculous things that I say. We're going to get out of here. Peace out, everybody. Thank you. J-Dog.